Thanks. So I click next. Here we are. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you to many of people, which you'll find, for helping me being here, because I'm kind of nervous. Anyway, Marina said a very important thing. Actually, it could conclude my presentation, and I would not have to say anything, but she's told something that is not so right. So I'm here to talk to you about your right to access information. What's that? It sounds pretty simple. Well, it's not so simple. It should be simple, but it's not. I'm speaking about information that is held by your public authorities. Why do you need to have this access, and why should you care? This nice image says many things. It's a padlock that it opens with information. Let's try to make it more easy to explain. I'm sure all of you have seen these images. These are from the Middle East, the very place we're now. In fact, hopefully tomorrow I'm going to be there if they have my visa ready, hopefully, to speak about the same thing. We see those angry people. They're on the streets. They're demanding for what? They demand to run their own house. They demand for more transparency, democratization. They want to care about their countries. They want to run them. So you have heard some, not so far, buzzwords like transparency and buzzwords like participation, the will to participate. But hear this. Without something that guarantees you your right to gain information, how can you speak about transparency? How can you participate if you don't have the information that is held by your public authorities? So the right to access information is it encourages active citizenship. It encourages transparency. It's not just a buzzword that our politicians use, usually when it's near elections or when they're in opposition. It's about democratic participation and accountability. Accountability means that you have the right to know this building that your government built, to have all the information, to have all the raw data, and the environmental raw data, mind you. Because you are paying for it. And democratic participation, we live now in an era where people are disencouraged to participate. So the right to access information, or the right to know, it sounds more catchy, the right to know, it is against mistrust. If Mr. Doe Khan comes here, I don't know him, I don't know what he thinks, I don't know his intentions. So I don't have any information about him. And hey, give me your car keys. No, I'm not going to give you my car keys. The same with your government. If you feel that you don't get enough information from your government, how it spends, how it's run, how it runs projects, how can you trust? And it's against, of course, citizens' passiveness, my God. That is very bad for a democracy. Who doesn't complain about apathy? My opinion is that this passiveness, it destroys what we visualize and be happy about, this democracy thing we're having. And of course, you should go without saying it is against corruption, because if your public authorities were forced to proactively give you all the information and the contracts, not just the procurement, the actual contract, if they were forced to report to you that, look, this is the last cent we're spending, this is how we run the procedures, not only about procurement, anything, then of course, there's not going to be any room left for under the table deals. As a guy said, the more eyeballs available, the all bags are shallow. This is for software, but it could apply here as well. The more eyeballs are watching a process, then it's less susceptible, correct English, to corruption. So we spoke about some things about this right to access information, but what really is? Well, if I'm allowed to crudely simplify it, the lawyers have to forgive me here. It is these two parts. First part, it is your right to ask. It is to have the right and be enabled to ask. Don't take this for granted. It may sound simple, just ask. But in the last 2 years, we have made some research, and we have found some not nice things. For example, in the 21st century, paper is heavier than email. So the way you ask, if you want to get information, you should, with these circumstances, select your medium. So electronic mediums are not so fancy by the government. So it's your right to ask. Don't take it for granted. So you should be enabled and empowered to ask. It shouldn't be difficult to ask. You shouldn't be, oh, but you didn't send it to the correct department. Oh, but we lost it. Oh, whatever. It should be easy. And the other part of your right is your right to receive an answer, an acknowledgement. Or if you want to look it from the other way around, is your authority's obligation to give you an answer. And not just any answer. First of all, it has to be fresh, so it has to be quick. If you're an environmentalist and you want to have the raw data of the environmental study that has been going in the seabed next to Cyprus, because you suspect that there's a project going on that they're going to build to make something, and you need the raw data, if you ask for information it's not given to you, and you go to court, and then the court may take 3 years, and you get the information after 3 years. But guess what? After 3 years, the project is already there. So you cannot really do your job. So it has to be fresh. It's very, very important. Then, in case you are denied an answer, it has to be very much explained. You don't have a stamp of top secret or confidential, just stamp all the documents. You have to explain why you stamp this document. And of course, you should be enabled, in case you are denied information, to take it to court. It's not the best solution to have court. You should have a commissioner, because information and people are soft matters. That's why we want commissioner for children's rights. That's why we want to have commissioner for private data. So we need a commissioner for information to act as an intermediary. Next slide. So why should we care about, really? Because, okay, we have many rights. We have the right to live. That is a fundamental human right. But I myself, I'm not walking every day on the street and feel, oh, I'm so happy to be alive. Well, we should, by the way. But why is that just another right that you may have or may not have? By the way, in the Republic of Cyprus, we are the last European country in the EU member state that doesn't even have a draft on access to information law, and in 6 months is going to have the presidency. Any lawmakers here? So why should we care? First of all, if we agree that civil society, it's our basic right to come together and form a group and pursue our rights independently without any patronizing from authorities. If we agree that civil society is the basis for democracy, well, I have to tell you this. Civil society managed information is failure. Civil society organizations they need lots and lots of public information. And they also need information on how to participate as well. They don't just need numbers, they need policies. They need to be consulted on policies. And they need to have this information easy and timely. In time. In fact, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're an AIDS NGO, okay? You want to run a campaign because we have a nice coastal town in Cyprus called Ayanapa, and lots of young people want to have sex. So we think, hey, I'm an AIDS NGO, I want to have a campaign there to enlighten young people, be careful, keep it down. So you need lots and lots of numbers. Do you need numbers? Yes, you do. Who has these numbers? Public authorities. You need statistics. Where those people come from? Those youngsters. They come from countries that they know about these things. What language do they speak? Do they speak English? How about policies? Did the authorities do something else? Are they planning to do something else? Because if they're doing, we shouldn't overlap, or we should cooperate. And why didn't they invite us in the first place? So if you don't have, even a simple campaign, if you don't have this vital information quickly and easy, well, you're going to fail on logistics, you're going to fail on the content, you're going to fail on how many free condoms you're going to give in the square, and as an NGO, your mission is going to fail. And unfortunately, the last 2 years, we have been running this Open Cyprus project. We have found a very, very clear link between the widely disregard of NGOs and civil society in Cyprus with their inability to access information. They're either considered as a capitalist tools or something like anarcho-communist trick-hacking hippies, traitors. Here, I said it. So what about business, guys? Do business care about the public information? Of course they do, guys. How can you make a business plan if you have done only 1 hour class of economics in your life? Your teacher will tell you, or lecturer will tell you, in order to make a business, you need to study the environment. Okay, I'm asking you, how can you study the environment without information? And do public authorities have information that business want? Of course. Do they have numbers? Yes. Do they have statistics? Yes. Do they have legal proceedings that are very, very important? Yes. Are they easy to access? Not so much. You need an intermediary. So, especially for foreign business that want to do business in Cyprus or any place in the world, foreign business, establishing a business is like launching a rocket to space. You need to have everything right, even to the last detail, because it's so much important. And unfortunately, in my country, where I think according to a World Bank report, is number 40 into the ease of doing business in the world, I have seen businesses that foreign business, they want to establish a presence on Cyprus, but because they cannot get the information quick, they prefer going to another country which has higher taxation and strictly regulate them because it's the devil they know. I'm going to be quick because, have to be quick. Well. So, if in modern business environment information is gold, business minus information, do the math. This is the only worthy slide. I want to emphasize that a country's economy with lack of access to information is prone to all these ailments. And I'm not saying that. Check out the World Bank reports, Transparency International reports, Access Info Euro reports. They're going to tell you that all these ailments are connected to the access to information. I want to point out this thing. A country that is promoting favoritism at certain countries, sectors with specific interest. At which countries do you see this happening? Don't tell me, okay? A small joke that I worked a little bit as a journalist, not so much anyway, I'm not going to discuss that. There are two kinds. The one is a man, sorry ladies, it's a man's world here, in the Middle East, about 50 years old, sits on the office, his big office, he picks up the phone. Hey George, yeah, let's meet today. Yeah, about this thing, this thing going on, let's speak about it over lunch. Okay, see you in 2 hours, thank you. Mr. George was the Minister of Finance. So it access to information straight from the horse's mouth or the minister's mouth. And the other kind of journalist, there could be young, a man or a boy, it doesn't matter. They're swarming to five of them into a small office, and they're all timed like this. They want to get information quickly. But you see there's a difference of the easiness of accessing information. So they have two lanes of journalists. And as my friend Polly is somewhere here, she's a journalist, she told me that, listen, Orestis, if it's 1 day old, it's old news, so it's useless for me. So imagine that if journalists and a press law is not enough, if some journalists have so much trouble accessing information because they don't have the contacts, we see those very bad things I see in Cyprus with journalists. Degenerating of the profession. I see young people disencouraged, leaving the profession. I see the unions, they are not so strong anymore. I've seen all sorts of ailments. And if we agree that journalists are very, very important into society, if they don't have access to information, they are weakened. This worries me, okay? So we got these three right, but why should you care? You're not a journalist, you're not a businessman, you're not a civil society representative or whatsoever. Why should you care? Well, I want to hear if there's any person into this room or over the internet if they hear us that doesn't complain. Yes, we like to complain. How many people complain about transparency, lack of transparency? How about participation? Do you feel that you participate? Do you feel that you're running your own house? How about, this is very funny, political honesty. Oh my God. And how about apathy? Apathy worries me. Apathy kills democracy. Apathy means that young people, we don't go to vote, that we are too busy with our lives, we don't have easy access to information, we know how things are running. Because if it takes me a week of writing letters, at least a week or a month to get some information, how am I going to be an active citizen? How? And this is a 10-year-old kid. It's very typical. There are 10-year-old kids that they actually run the internet with their well, anyway, think bad English anyway. So they can access any information, they are accustomed to have all the information they want in their fingertip. They go to Mr. Google or Mr. Yahoo, whatever. Actually, Mr. Google or Yahoo knows before you type completely what you're searching about. And it gives you information. Could be about 16th century dresses or about some Irish dancers or whatever. You can get information. So tell me this, how the heck am I going to convince this kid to tell her, you know, honey, if you want to ask your authorities a question, you need to print the paper, because, as I said, paper is heavier than email, apparently. You need to go to the post office, preferably send it double registered, pay some money, because it will surely go there. Then wait, if you're lucky, for at least 1 month, and then you can get simple information. Right, you know, this kid is going to say me, screw you, Mirtani. And so I'm not going to bother. So how am I going to convince this kid to take its authorities seriously that she has to go all this procedure just to get information that she's accustomed to get many, many different sources from friends, from social media, search engines. She has this mind that it can search and link things like a detective. Nowadays, kids can do that. How? So I'm ending this presentation, thank God, because I'm dying from a heart attack. So, as the Scottish say, we live through interesting time. We don't have just a financial crisis. We have a crisis of the peoples. We have the crisis of the systems. And unless the authorities proactively said, okay, we're going to crowdsource our information systems. We're going to let people inside. We're going to proactively let them know. Not just, they shouldn't wait for people to ask for information. We have websites, for God's sake. You know what? If something is not confidential, if it's minutes of the council, whatever, just put it there. Why do you have to have a system to receive questions? Just put all the data there and let people do their job. Let civil society, activists, businessmen, just don't bother you. Just put it there, everything. And it's going to be easier for civil servants to find information themselves, because I have some civil servants here that have been telling me during the break that even they cannot access information easily. How can I access information? So it's good to be angry. It's good to be mad at the point. It's good to complain. But as a you see young persons, because there's mostly young persons here, okay? They see all this mess in front of them. They see states that they're in a mess, that they don't feel that they're running their own home. They don't feel that. And if you see all this mess in front of you, how can you really find a grip? How can you find a grip to turn this way all around? This is the first step, guys. You only have to ask. Thank you.